What's happening, YouTube? It's Simon466cards, and today I will be expanding my analysis into serial numbered cards. I did this a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months now, depending on when you watch this video, into Prizm and Flawless for both basketball and football. And as a reminder of what it looked like, here it is. Prizm keeps on going up and up, whereas Flawless stays flat as can be. And so this time what I'm doing is adding two new sets. We have Prizm, obviously the flagship product, Flawless, a higher end product. Donruss Optic is somewhere in the middle, and so I'm going to add that. And as a recap of how this works is I will take a look at all of the serial number cards and add them up. So this is just for this 2016 set, it would just be 199 plus 99, 49, 25, etc., etc., etc. Add those up, and that's the total serial numbered cards that exist for any given player in the set. And then we will add those data points for the many years that Donruss Optic has existed, and we'll do that for both basketball and football. So that's the methodology. Now we have a third set for the Panini era, but I wanted to add a pre-Panini era set, and so the most obvious one that comes to mind is going to be Topps Chrome, and doing that and comparing what Topps did with their flagship product with the ones that exist for Panini today. And I will again be doing this for both basketball and football. So take a minute, think to yourself, relative to Prizm, where do you think Topps Chrome sits? Where do you think Donruss Optic sits? And let's start off with basketball. So give yourselves a quick second to think through what it might look like and what you think it might look like, and let's take a look. This is basketball, and in the gray here is Topps Chrome, orange is Prizm, blue is Flawless, and then green is Optic. The one thing you'll note is this dotted line here, because there are no sets that exist for any of these four brands from 09 to 2011. And so if you do compare the Topps Chrome part of this chart here with the Prizm chart, it actually looks really similar. It has for part of it anyways. It goes up for a while, there's a big spike, and then there's a big drop off in 06, which is very similar to Prizm dropping down from 2015 to 2016. The one difference though is that it seems Topps decided, okay, we've capped out here at 1500, a little over 1500 in 2005. Let's not overproduce. Let's not do that. So they're at 1588 is their high. Very similar to Prizm here in 2018, they're at 1581, literally like almost the exact same number. But unlike Topps and Topps Chrome, Panini decides, no, let's print more. And so they just keep on going and going. And so now we're at 2K for Prizm in 2021 and 2022. That's a lot, all right? It's a lot. I think there's no way to sugarcoat it. So that's an interesting comparison for Topps Chrome compared to Prizm. The other one that we've added in is Optic, and when it was added in 2016, it very much mirrored the line for Prizm, right? Then the total number. But then as of 2018 and for the next 4 years up to 2021, it was essentially flat right here around 1,000 serial number cards. But then in 2022, you could see a 47% jump up into 1,500. So this gap that existed between Optic and Prizm, it basically got cut in half. From here, it's about 800 to 1,000. Now it's down to about 500. So those are the two main insights that I noticed. The last one that I noticed is just compare the Flawless to the rest. There is no comparison. Like, it's night and day for any of these sets compared to Flawless. And I know nobody's that interested in Flawless base cards, but given the supply versus demand and the fact that I'm only looking at serial numbered cards, I'm not looking at Optic Hollows, I'm not looking at Prizm Silvers, these are just serial numbered cards. The supply and demand is just totally tilted towards Flawless if you want to buy something and hopefully have it hold value over time. That's just my opinion. Do your own research. All right. So that's basketball. We're going to move over to football now. What do you think Topps Chrome and Optic will look like? Do you think it'll have a similar pattern as this or not? It does not. Interesting Topps Chrome here in gray, and you can see that we have data for all the years because Topps Chrome continued all the way to 2015. Is that it has a pretty, it's a little bit of U-shape, but like generally pretty stable between 500 and 1,000 for about 10 years here. And then 2012 jumps straight up above 2,000 and above what Prizm is at now, whereas Prizm has had just general increasing trend upwards. They jumped to 2,000, 2,300, and then the last 2 years they were pretty stable. And so it's a little bit surprising that Topps Chrome football is different than what we saw in Topps Chrome basketball. In terms of Optic, very closely mirrored the numbers of Prizm from 2016 to 2020, and then it's leveled out in 21 and 22. So that's an interesting trend as well, that they've kind of capped out at about, what are we at here? About 1,200, just a little bit over 1,000 compared to getting close to 2,000 for Prizm. The one thing that is interesting about this chart to me is the fact that Topps started producing or overproducing, depending on your interpretation or your view, they really started creating a bunch of serial number cards as soon as Panini entered the picture. We didn't have that in the previous one for basketball because they didn't overlap for any years. And so I wonder if it's a coincidence that Topps started producing all of these additional parallels, all of these additional serial number cards in the last few years of their licensing agreement. Because does that sound familiar in terms of what a company might do in the last years of their licensing agreement? Because it sure seems like Panini is following this exact same playbook here. So something to look out for as we possibly are nearing to the end of the Panini era, perhaps sooner rather than later, depending on whatever happens with their negotiations. So that's it. That's the video. I just thought it's a quick one, but I thought it was interesting to see how football and basketball, even though it's the same brands that we're comparing, they follow a little bit different pattern than what you might expect. I would have expected them to be exactly the same, whatever it was, right? Also, a shout out to Rip City Bandwagon and Dustin for the idea for this video. As you can see here, Rip City Bandwagon asked for Topps Chrome and Dustin asked for two things: Optic, which was included, and another, which I did not include. And that's because it's for the next video, which is gonna be about Select. And my oh my, is that going to be something special. Wait till you see this one. So that's the next video. Thank you as always for listening and watching, and I will talk to you all soon. Cheers.